It's game week 35, prediction time in the championship. Right, let's get into this. And with me tonight to sink his teeth into these predictions, as always, is my co-host. It's the wonderful Mark Ryman. How are we getting on, Mark?
Oh, thanks. Wonderful. That's it's very kind. I'm all right. It's still lots to play for, right? Top two race still open. Nobody wants that last playoff spot, seemingly. Maybe Cov. The bottom three desperately want to get relegated. Apart from that, there's still lots of jeopardy. So should be an interesting weekend of football.
Whoa. I think Cov are getting that last playoff spot. And I think Stoke are doing everything they can to try and get into that relegation battle.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right. Let's kick this off. And before we do kick it off, remember, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We do lots of championship content. You can check it out on our channel. We have a whole championship playlist. Right. Let's kick this off with Blackburn Rovers versus Norwich.
Yeah, so I think two sides in indifferent form, up and down. Blackburn just got tonked by one of the lowest form sides in the league in Swansea. And Norwich did a Josh Sargent on Stoke. I think he scored a brace in that game. Very impressive. Yet again, I've gone for a tight away win, 2-1 to Norwich for this one, because I think, Valérien Ismaël, is it going to work out? There's not much evidence to suggest that it will. It's an interesting appointment. I think it would maybe steady them a little bit, but it's interesting in terms of the kind of football that he plays, and really his only success in the Championship has been with Barnsley. So yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm going for a 2-1 Norwich win.
It is indeed a very interesting appointment because, you hit the nail on the head. He was at West Brom, he was at Watford. Didn't have success with either of them. No. Really didn't. Blackburn, on the other hand, it's so weird. I expected their form to drop off a cliff as soon as Eustace left, and then they won 2 games, which is crazy. But I think Norwich, they're a different beast with Josh Sargent. Yes, it's been sort of streaky, hasn't it? Last 5, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss. But I think Josh Sargent is, on his day, one of the best strikers in the Championship. I got Norwich 3, Blackburn 2 for this one. Blackburn at home isn't quite the same as it was originally, is it? No,
it's not. You're right. I think momentum does a lot to take them through those 2 games, but I don't think that's going to keep them in the playoffs, to be honest. I think they'll just fall away.
Yeah, it's looking like they're reverting to the mean. It really does. Right, on to Cardiff City versus Burnley.
Yeah, again, you're going to bet on Burnley to win 2-0, right? Or at least it be 0-0 at best. I'm tempting you now, I guess. I've gone Burnley 2-0 for this one. Despite a really important win against Hull for Cardiff, which pulls them away from the relegation zone, I think this will be a bridge or 2 bridges too far for them, even at home. So, yeah, I think Burnley just don't concede any goals. Cardiff don't score that many either, it's worth saying. Apart from that mental 3-3 draw with Stoke, they don't score many. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 straightforward Burnley win.
Yeah, I've gone 3-0 Burnley here, and look, they put 4 past Sheffield Wednesday. I'm not going to pretend that I watched that game, but I think this Sheffield Wednesday is a very different Sheffield Wednesday from the one that started the season when they did concede a fair few goals. They're well drilled. They're in, they're not in the best of form, but they're also not bad. They're a solid unit. They know how to play under Danny Rowe. Cardiff, yes, I can't see them scoring against Burnley. Although that was a very good win for them against Hull. It really was. Because Hull, they look like they're a difficult side to play against now. Sure, they're still losing most of their games, but they give it a good old go, don't they? And they had that tremendous win against Sunderland as well.
Yeah, they've gone Sunderland and won. First team in the league to do it this season. And then they beat Sheffield United away as well. They're really unpredictable. But you're right, most of the time, they hold on for a draw or a tight loss. But some random results in there too.
They do the easy stuff hard and the hard stuff easy, don't they?
They certainly do.
Yeah, well, what a better time to talk about them? It's Hull versus Plymouth Argyle. This one's a 6-pointer by definition, and as I said, Hull do the easy stuff hard, the hard stuff easy. So, what do you think is going to happen here?
Well, this is Plymouth's third 6-pointer in a row, right? You think they're probably going to have a heart attack at some point. And the other 2 6-pointers, they drew 1-1. So guess what? I've gone 1-1. And I think that this is the thing. I think Plymouth are going into these games thinking you can't lose these because these teams will get away from them. But by doing that, they're not imposing themselves. They're not performing an attacking threat. I know that they drew against Cardiff, but obviously playing 10 men. They drew against Luton, but weren't a threat in most of that game as well. I think they'll play this one safe, and I think it'll be to their detriment because these games run out. They've got more tricky fixtures coming up, and yeah, they're going to find it hard to get results. I don't see them staying in the league, and I think this one will be another case of trying to play it safe, 1-1.
I think you've nailed it there. Against these 6-pointers, then they're not trying to win the games. They're trying to keep these people as close. They're trying to stop the other team from winning, and they've gone a goal behind in both of those games. But then they attack because they go and try and grab the point, which fair play that if that's their game plan. But they are tough to break down because most people try and break them down by like crossing into the box. But I think Hull will offer something a bit different because they've got so much crazy talent in that squad. I've gone Hull 2-1 here because I do think Plymouth's sort of backs to the wall approach is going to wear off here. And I think Hull, maybe I'm giving them too much benefit of the doubt, but they beat Sheffield United, they beat Sunderland. Why can't they beat Plymouth? Who knows?
Yeah, I can see it happening, definitely. Get your reasoning completely. Certainly more likely for me than a Plymouth win.
Yeah, right. On to one that I'd say it's probably quite cut and dry. It's Leeds United versus West Brom.
Yeah, I mean, Leeds are on an absolute train, aren't they, towards promotion? And fair play to them. I mean, they've played the best football in the Championship all season. They've been pretty much unstoppable. And I see this being comfortable at Ellen Road. I've gone for a 3-0 Leeds win. West Brom, as they have been most of the season, quite unpredictable. They're certainly winning more games than they were. They tend to see away most of the teams below them in the league, but they haven't really done the business against the teams in that sort of top 6 area as much. I just don't see them having the defensive capability or indeed the firepower to keep Leeds out. I think that though, they'll still hover around the playoffs. Whether they'll keep a playoff place, I mean, they're only 1 point right into the playoffs in 5th, so yeah, it's going to be touch and go for them till the end of the season. But they're not going to get anything from this, I don't think.
Yeah, West Brom are hella streaky. I thought Tony Mowbray would have brought in some like consistency, but them and Blackburn are like the two teams that they are going to fall out of the playoffs. And I thought Borough would be one to replace them, but Borough have fallen off. Like their form's dropped off a cliff. And yeah, they won their last game, but I think it's Coventry and one other club, possibly Norwich, who seem to, they could put a run together. Like it's Cov and another team to replace those two in the playoffs. I think this is going to be an absolute tonking. I've got Leeds 5, West Brom 1. I think they're so streaky under Mowbray. And Leeds, they're ridiculous. I don't know if you saw the video that Phil did.
Yeah.
Pretty much sang Leeds praises, and that's high praise. Phil really appreciates them. I'll put it in the description below the video for Leeds fans that might not have watched it. Check it out. Leeds, best team in the Championship this season by far. They deserve their promotion. Yeah, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah.
Right, now from the first to the worst, it's Luton Town versus Portsmouth.
Yeah, it's an absolute shambles, and it brings me no joy to talk about it, really. It's sort of gone past this is just, so bad it's funny to it's just really bad. Luton have gone from probably the best run club in the EFL a couple of seasons ago to, I wouldn't say the worst run club, because that would be ridiculous when you've got owners like Vincent Tan in the league. But certainly in terms of this season and a half, let's say, has just been complacent naivety and just absolute, implosion on the pitch as a result. I think Matt Bloomfield was a naive at best, complacent at worst decision at the time, and I think it's bearing out to be that way. I think there's a good manager in there, but not in a crisis at the bottom of the Championship, with players who think they're too good to be there. And I just don't see Luton winning another game, and I don't say that purely as a kind of disgruntled supporter. If you look at Luton's attacking output since Matt Bloomfield's come in, other than probably that Oxford away game, and even then it was a central defender and a midfielder who's no longer there who scored those goals. I just don't know where the goals are coming from. Having said that, I've gone 1-1. I think Luton will come out quickly and maybe score, and Portsmouth get back in it. But again, I think that's quite optimistic. So I've gone Luton 1, Pompey 1.
So I've gone 2-1 here. If you want to hear us discuss it in a bit more detail and with some thoughts from the opposition, check out our match preview for this game. It's in the description below this video. I've gone 2-1, and it just has to change. I agree with everything that you said, with the exception of I think Bloomfield was just the cheap option.
Yeah,
he was a manager, local, who was doing a good job elsewhere. Like, look, we'll post-mortem it at the end of the season. The body isn't even cold yet, so we'll tuck in at the end of the season and go to town on the absolute joke that has been this season. I'm actually quite looking forward to that one, because it's therapeutic to, point fingers. I've been doing it all season, and to be honest, I think I've run out of fingers to point. There aren't enough fingers to point at all the people that are to blame for the absolute joke this season has been. But yeah, Luton 2, Portsmouth 1. It's just delusion. That's it. Delusion. It's heart over heads. I'm an idiot. Right. On to middle. Is this one a derby? Yes, it's Middlesbrough versus Derby.
What? Because it's Derby.
It's. I'll tell you what. It's the Brian Clough Derby, because Brian Clough played for Middlesbrough.
Right.
As a lad, he scored like 200 and something goals for Borough.
Yeah.
And then he managed Derby County.
Well done. There you go.
There you go.
You've shoehorned it in.
Brian Clough Derby.
Yeah. I bet Borough can't believe their luck after their horrendous run of form that they've managed to play Stoke and Derby in consecutive games, because if anything's going to help turn your form around, other than the aforementioned Luton, it's those two teams. They took full advantage against Stoke, and I think they will do again. I think Borough will revert back to struggling before the end of the season, and I don't think Herrick will survive come next season either. But for this game, I've gone Borough 2-0 against Derby, because Derby are in absolute woeful form, and I just don't see Eustace turn it around. As I said at the start, I think despite the fact that, as you said, teams like Stoke desperately seem to want to get relegated, and you've got Derby, Plymouth and Luton saying, hold my beer, and they're not giving those spots up easily. So yeah, 2-0.
That's the crazy thing. Over the past 5 matches, Derby are actually the worst team in the division. Well, in the sense that they've scored 1 fewer goal than Luton. So their goal difference is just -6 as opposed to -5. But Carrick, I don't understand what's happened with Borough. It's like Latte Laff was holding the entire club together. He's gone, and they've gone on a massive losing streak now. It's absolute madness. But regardless, I've gone Borough 3, Derby 1, because I feel it's time to draw a line under their poor form and start afresh, really. But Iheanacho, has he been any good? Not really, but Force is back, and Azaz seems to be hitting the back of the net. Tommy Conway as well against he scored a goal. That was nice as well. Essentially, the three people you want to be hitting form, Force, Azaz, and Conway, all hitting the back of the net. That's what you want. And I think their fortunes are going to turn now. So 3-1 to Borough.
Fair enough. I just don't see it lasting, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, I pegged them to get into the playoffs, and if they're going to do it, they've got to start grinding out results pronto. They have to start doing it now. Right, Millwall versus Bristol City.
Another streaky versus streaky teams. It's really hard to call in terms of this. I mean, Millwall have been doing a hell of a lot better in the last few games, and have started to turn things around now. And I think all threat of relegation, of course, gone, and there was a point where they were sort of nosediving that way, but that's changed. Bristol City again, streaky, doing okay. Obviously won 2 of the last 3 games, but not playing anyone of any huge significance. I think Stoke, Cardiff, and maybe Borough were their last 3. So yeah, it's quite hard to call on that regard. I've gone for a 2-1 away win, so I've gone Bristol City to win 2-1. I think it will be a relatively tight game. Neither team concede huge amounts of goals. We know that about Millwall anyway. But Millwall's home form isn't what it has been in previous seasons. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Bristol City.
Yeah, same here. Look, neither team concedes many. Neither team scores many. I rate Liam Manning. I still don't know how he's got Bristol City's 8th in the table. I think it's just because that whole bunch, like chasing the playoff, is just so congested. Like one win can keep you up there, and then everyone's so streaky. Fair play to Bristol City, because I wouldn't have had you pegged anywhere near the playoffs, although you are only 4 points away from 12th, which is where Millwall are at the moment. But I'm still backing Bristol City to win this one. Look, there's a real lack of quality throughout that team, but Scott Twine, he does the job, doesn't he? He really does.
Yeah.
What a player to have. George Earthy as well. I remember him very well because he scored one of the goals that all but confirmed Luton Town's relegation at West Ham. He's on loan from West Ham. He's a young talent. He's very good, and he seems to be hitting the back of the net for Bristol City now. So fair play. I like to see young English talent or young British talent getting a go in the Championship. So fair play to him. And if he can contribute to Bristol City making the playoffs, all power to him. Yeah. Right. Oxford United versus Coventry City. Frank Lampard's Coventry City.
Nearly forgot then.
Sorry, Frank.
I'm going for a Frank Lampard 2-0 win as well, and his side as well. I think we both said, really, haven't we, that Coventry are probably going to make the top 6. I think they've got a favourable run in as well, relatively. And, they've found a way to win games pretty consistently. I've got to say fair play. He's got people like Ellis Sims performing. Sakamoto's playing well. Matt Grimes doing well in the centre of midfield. It's interesting to see where Ben Sheaf fits into all of this. I would say that.
He fits in the physio room.
Well, yeah, but I think he's back, isn't he? He's back in the squad at least, not injured. I think he came on right at the end of the last game, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets into that team in that central midfield role, because now you've got Matt Grimes in there, and I think Josh Eccles in there as well. That's going to be a difficult one, but it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? I wish Luton had problems like that, but anyway, yeah, a good win in their last game over Preston. Tough team to beat at the moment. So Oxford, on the other hand, form-wise, is in the toilet. I think they've done enough already to stay up. So to be honest, they could probably draw or lose every game until the end of the season, and they'll still be okay, just about. But it is still quite concerning to see that drop off. I think they'll lose this one comfortably 2-0.
Yeah, I'll pick you up on one point. You said there Coventry have a favourable run till the end of the season. Look, they're all favourable runs when you just win every game. Fair
Yeah,
play to them. Like Frank Lampard shut me right up. I still I still maintain they have one of the best squads, probably the fifth best squad, or even fourth best squads. Probably have a better squad than Sunderland, in my opinion, in the Championship, and they were vastly underperforming. I've gone 4-0 Cov here.
Oof.
Yeah, Ellis Sims firing,
Yeah,
as you said. Oxford, terrible right now,
yeah.
terrible. In the form table, they're below Luton, but it's like a derby one. They're joint
I was
bad
going to
with
say,
Luton right now. By the virtue of in their last 5 games, they scored 1 goal, conceded 6, -5 goal difference. But I think Coventry, they're in form, and the form team makes the playoffs, and the form team will punish teams as well. So they're trying to make up their goal difference. Fair play to them, and I think they're going to absolutely spank Oxford.
yeah, can see it happening. Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Oxford do as you said, do have enough points on the board to stay up, because they're only I think they're only 4 points above the drop zone right now, but that run of form was absolutely sensational. It really was.
Yeah.
Every team needs a streak like that. Right, on to Preston North End versus Swansea.
Yeah, you might think this is a bit of a mad prediction, but I've gone for a 1-0 win for Preston. I think, look, Swansea obviously won the last game 3-0. I'm still not quite sure what happened there because, in terms of form teams, they were down there as well. Although a couple of wins on the board, one against Bristol and one against Blackburn, shows they've still got it in them. We were saying that Swansea can't score goals, and then they go and score 3 without reply as well. Preston, on the other hand, as I've just said, lost to Cov. They don't lose many games though, and they are always really tough to beat. I think they're the exact kind of side that Swansea are going to hate playing against. If I'm honest, I think it'll be tight. I think though that we'll see. We'll see whether that kind of Swansea streak changes. I don't know whether Alan Sheen's still in temporary charge there, or if they got someone else in.
I think he is.
He's still there, isn't he, in temporary charge? And as Luton fans, we love him. And so in a way, I hope he does well. Unfortunately, we need as many teams to do as badly as possible. But yeah, I think for me, Preston at home, keep this one tight and win it 1-0.
Yeah, snap. I've also gone Preston 1-0. Preston don't lose. They don't lose many. Out of all the teams in the bottom half, they've lost the fewest games. Only lost 10 times this year, drawn 15. They don't win many either, and they don't score too many goals.
Yeah.
But they do have an abundance of talent up top. Errol Reese, out of contracts at the end of the season, I think he's one that a lot of championship clubs will be after. But yeah, I think 1-0 here. I think Swansea's 3-0 win, that was a full storm, to be honest. That was against Blackburn. That I reckon that Blackburn just didn't turn up. But we'll see what happens. But I can't see Swansea winning this, and I think that win delayed the inevitable because they were on a horrible run of form that was just taking them down to the relegation zone.
Yeah.
Right, QPR versus Sheffield United.
Now this one is even more weird. I've gone for a 1-1, and this is more hunch than anything else. So don't come at me in the comments with it being completely unfounded, because I know it's completely unfounded, really. QPR at home are an interesting one. They tend to win at home quite a lot. I mean, admittedly, they're not against always the top teams, although they did beat Blackburn quite recently at home as well. Away from home, it's a different story. Sheffield United have not convinced me in many games of the last few. And I know that's Sheffield United fans say that's what we've been doing all season, and we've still been turning teams over, which is absolutely fair enough, and fair play to Chris Wilder and Sheffield United for doing so. They're not quite as tight at the back as they were either. And obviously they lost their last game, but it was against Leeds. And they were 1-0 up, I think, in that game until, the 80th minute or something like that. And then it was just, a siege. I don't know. I've just got a hunch. So I'm going 1-1 based on that rather than any real logic.
Well, my hunch is the fact that Sheffield United, they don't play glorious, beautiful football, but they brute force their way through games, and I have them winning 2-1 away at QPR. QPR's form has become very, very patchy since that insane run of form that just swept them off the bottom of the table into like sort of, I think when they beat Luton Town, they went upper mid-table. They actually got into the top half, but they've sort of reverted back to the mean. They can't get wins as easy as they were. I'm not saying the wheels have fallen off, but I do think like the foot has been taken off the gas. And I think that's fair to say. I think Sheffield United, they're just going to go about their business and do it, do what they've been doing all season.
Which is, of course, the most likely thing to happen. But I don't know. I've got this weird feeling about this game.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let me know what you think about Sheffield Wednesday versus Sunderland.
Yeah, another weird feeling. All right, I'm going to have loads of fans put some comments about how ridiculous these are. I've gone Sheffield Wednesday to win 2-1. Now,
blimey.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not convinced with how Sunderland are falling off, and this is based on psychology more than anything else. All right, Sunderland are a better team than Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday have had some great performances, or part performances. I'd argue even against Burnley, there were some great moments for them. But I think mentally now it must be tough. I said this in the last prediction show for Sunderland, because even though they're pretty much guaranteed the playoffs, I think the top two are gone, right? I think that's now gone, particularly on their last two results. So I think there's that. Also, they've played the last four games. I'm going to ignore the Leeds game because everyone loses to Leeds, even Sunderland. The reverse they didn't. But and I'm going to ignore the Luton game as well because Luton gives everyone points. They weren't convincing against Watford by any stretch, and I thought they were poor against a Hull side that were just too clever for them, really. Played the perfect kind of defensive away performance, and they, for me, didn't really look like threatening. So there's my kind of issue. I also think, the confidence up front in Isadora has dried up. It has, Lefay, although he can be amazing, isn't always in games. But for that reason, I think the goals will start to dry up a little bit, and I worry about their confidence going into the playoffs. So that's my justification for it. Yes, Sheffield Wednesday have lost the last two as well, but I think, they've got the capability of winning this game. Whether they do or not, we'll see. But yeah, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Sunderland 1.
I completely see what you mean, especially with the Lefay thing. He is levels above the Championship. However, Isidore, he is second in big chances missed, only to Elijah Adebayo, who is just elite at missing chances.
Champions League winner at missing big chances. Yeah.
Yeah, he's won the Champions League, the World Cup, literally everything in missing chances, big clear-cut chances. And he's laying them on a plate for Isidore. Isidore's missing them. Like, unless you're Lamine Fanny literally playing him through on goal, then he can't miss that one. But look, it's been back-to-back losses now, and the performances have dropped off. They did have a go at Hull. Hull defended really well.
Yeah.
I've got this one as a 1-1 draw, which kind of stops the rot. But would you say that Sunderland are perhaps running out of steam? which was a topic,
maybe.
That
I don't know who mentioned this. Did someone mention this previously?
I think it's the
maybe
first
a few
time I
months ago.
mentioned it.
I think it is, yeah. Look, I think it's a lot of things. I think it happens to a lot of these teams that are a sort of second, third throughout the whole season. I mentioned it before. It happened to Borough in the season that Luton ended up getting promoted. Obviously, Luton did finish in third in the end, but for most of that season, it was Borough that were, at least by the media, being touted as pushing the top two. And as soon as that goes away, it's very difficult to get that motivation back. So, especially with a young team, I think that's difficult when you haven't got the experience behind you. And you're right, they've got some absolutely elite players. But are those players, or do those players have the experience to be able to put away the disappointment of likely not getting automatics, to be able to push against either Sheffield United or Burnley, let's face it, as the one of those two are going to end up being in the playoffs with them. Have they got the experience to beat one of those two teams? And I struggle to see it now. I do, but we will see.
You've absolutely hit the nail on the head there. Look, I know Sunderland fans want to believe that they're still challenging for the top two. It's possibly gone, but like, I know the players won't be watching this, but like, not to fall into the same trap that Middlesbrough and Michael Carrick did all those years ago. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep going, because if the players take their foot off the gas, they're not going to get through the playoffs. And right now, you need momentum. You need momentum to get through the playoffs, because they are awful. Yeah. And you're going to be coming up against teams that are coming into the playoffs full of momentum. Like, if Coventry don't lose momentum before the end of the season, coming into the playoffs, like, Coventry will just wipe the floor with them, like they did with Borough. So they need to get their heads in the game, seriously, because I backed them to go up through the playoffs, and right now I can't see it. The way they're going at the moment, they need to pick up. They really do. So sorry, Sunderland fans, but you know, I call it like I see it, and I did say you would run out of steam. Right, our final game is Stoke City versus Watford.
Yeah, what do
you have for that one?
Watford 2-1, mainly because Stoke are crap. I'll give some more detailed analysis if you like, but I'm not convinced by Watford, even though they've won their last two games, because hey, Charity FC in their last game, even though it was in the derby, and Borough were in stinking form when Watford went there, and arguably still are. We'll find out this weekend. I don't think they have. I don't think they have a chance of making the playoffs. I know they're not far off, but I just don't see it happening. They were in absolutely horrendous form before those two games. So, however, I think they'll make it 3 wins on the spin, because Stoke are in even worse form and have been really, really poor. And I bet Mark Robins is wondering what he was thinking when he took the job. And really, I'm really surprised, you know, on reflection on this, that he didn't take more time out of the game, because, you know, he'd been at Coventry for God knows how long, gone through various stadium moves, financial crises, still managing to get them promoted, get them to the playoff final 2 years ago as well, FA Cup semi-final the year after, all of those things. And I think he just needed a break. But then to go to a team in Stoke who are renowned for killing off managers, I just don't get it. I mean, he's been watching the Championship, right? He's been there. I just don't get it. So, yeah, Stoke 1, Watford 2.
Yeah, look, you can run, you can hide, you can bathe in bleach. There is no getting that Stokey stench off you once you go and manage. I can think of several million reasons why Mark Robins took such a short sabbatical from management. Yeah. I've gone for a Desmond here, 2-2. Stoke do score. They do score. They put two, you know, they put 2 past Norwich, although they conceded 4 the other way. Yeah. And they did score against Borough. And they beat Swansea, although Swansea were on a torrid run of form at the time. Watford, I don't think they were all that. Luton didn't really pressure them in the slightest. But yeah, I think it could be an interesting one. It's the only 2-2 I've predicted, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But Ryman, what's your lock of the week?
Yeah, as always, I just try and mix it up slightly and go with teams that I haven't been going for regularly. So I'm going to go for Norwich to win away at Blackburn.
I was just eyeing that one up. You nicked it there.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Right, I'm going to go for Middlesbrough versus Derby. I'll go for that 3-1.
Yeah.
I think Borough, they're going to...
fairly safe bet as well.
Yeah, back-to-back wins there for Middlesbrough. But yeah, that was fun. And we hope you all had fun too. So make sure, if you're not subscribed and you've gotten to the end of this video, hit the subscribe button. Loads of Championship content on our channel. It's in the Championship playlist, so check it out. And, well, let us know your predictions as well. Copy, paste the games in the description, put them in the comments, and most importantly, whoever you support, have a great week. Take care, everyone.